everyone? It's Michaela, and you're listening to the coolest podcast on YouTube, FUN-dations for college students. Today I'm joined here in my studio with the 4Js. We got Joanne. Say hi, Joanne.
Hi.
And we're here with Jennifer. Say hi, Jennifer.
Hello.
Say hi, Jamie.
Hello.
And say hi, Kevin.
Hello.
Kevin with the J, but it's silent. So today's topic is the playing child. And children are always so happy to have the opportunity to play. So when you were a child going to music class, were you looking forward to playing in the classroom, playing with instruments, just playing games in general?
I would say I was pretty excited to do it.
Did you look forward to going to class every week? You were like, yeah, can't wait for music class? Or...
Actually, yes.
Yeah?
Every time I walked into the music room and I saw like a crate of instruments, I knew it was going to be a good class.
Yeah.
I was always excited to go to chorus because I had chorus a lot in like 3rd grade.
Did y'all ever play with the boom whackers? Boom, 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 boom. Those are so fun. Just hit them against the floor. They're really cool. Learning instruments actually helps the way they physically develop and can help with their developmental abilities. So, do you know how old a child is by the time they're able to play instruments in like band and orchestra? Like, what's like the age for that?
Like 11, maybe? Like 4th grade?
4th grade, yeah. So like 9.
Or, oh, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, 9 years old, yeah. That's great. Yeah, by 9 years old, because I don't know about any of you, but when I was 9, that was when I started my instrument in elementary school. Did everyone else start theirs?
Yeah, me too. I was in 4th grade.
Some people started in, I think, 7th. Who was that? That was Michael, who was telling us they started their instruments at Brentwood in,
Oh yeah.
like 7th grade. But they have a really good music program, so I think that's really awesome. So when it comes to teaching children in elementary school music, there's a whole spectrum of instruments for them to learn. And one of the groups is body percussion. So what do you think body percussion would be?
Clapping.
Yeah, clapping.
Tapping.
Stomping.
Yeah, those are all awesome examples of body percussion. I taught a lesson on body percussion, and it was pretty cool what they came up with. I mean, I don't know how much of a variety there is. I guess, like, someone was going like this with their hands, like rubbing their hands together, which was interesting because no one else in the class did it. So I'm guessing there kind of is a variety, but I feel like you're a little kind of limited with body percussion.
Whenever I think of body percussion, I think of Patrick from SpongeBob.
Oh yeah, how he went.
Yeah. And SpongeBob's like, go Patrick, go Patrick.
That was a good episode. I miss SpongeBob. So, non-pitched percussion. So, I know that there's 2 music therapy majors in this room who actually use non-pitched percussion instruments. Do you use them often in your clinicals that you go to?
Yes. Often paddle drums or hand drums.
Mhm.
They also, what else?
How would you describe playing a hand drum? Do you play it with like your hand? Do you use a mallet?
So like with the hand drum, you can use a mallet or you can use your hand, and then the paddle drum, usually the therapist would hold the paddle, and then like the client would hit it with a mallet.
Wow.
I use maracas in all of my sessions.
Do they enjoy you using maracas?
Yeah, they're anything that can be loud, they love.
Yeah, I feel like that's a lot of fun. Maracas are, I think, honestly, like, they're very difficult to play correctly, because the beats are all, like, so when you're playing maraca, like, I feel like the rhythmic accuracy is pretty important on that instrument. The cabasas, so a maraca's an example of gourds. Cabasa, you know the cabasa that you go,
Yeah.
Have you ever played the cabasa before?
I've played it, but I've never, like, used it for anything.
It kind of has an interesting texture. When you
I've
rub
used it in
across
free
your hand.
improv.
Free improv, yeah. There's a lot of good stuff that comes out of that. Let's see. Claves. You were saying something about the claves earlier, Joanne. What was that?
So the claves are just like 2 sticks that you hit together. They kind of are pitched in a way. They're higher pitched percussion. And they are very easy to play. You just tap them together and they create a loud noise.
So now we're going to get into a little bit of, I guess, pitched percussion. We have the cymbals, which are pretty cool. Do you play like the big cymbals? Anyone ever play the big cymbals that you just clash together, or the cymbals that are just that like you hit with a stick?
I actually used to march in marching band, and I would play the cymbals in marching band.
Really, you were in the cymbal line?
Yeah.
Cymbal lines are so cool. My band did not have a cymbal line, but we really wanted to have one. Were there a lot of people in your marching band?
No, we just marched in parades, and I was the only person that would play cymbals, and I didn't want to play tuba.
Yeah,
so.
I do not blame you for that one.
I used to play my brother's drums. He had a lot of cymbals.
Drum set?
Yeah.
Kevin, what about you? Did you ever play any medals, like the jingle bells or like the triangle or anything like that?
In my high school percussion section, I was always the kid in sleigh ride who was just there on the sleigh bells.
Bringing the sleigh bells.
Keeping that tempo.
Keeping that tempo for the entirety of the piece.
How about you, Jennifer?
Actually, really late in high school, I took a couple of days to like figure out a drum set for some reason, and like there are cymbals on that, and I don't know. I think it helped my coordination.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's a plus.
Percussion instruments are so cool. My cousin used to have a drum set, so I used to go into his room and I'd just jam out, and he'd always be like, "You can't play the drums," and I was like, "Yeah, I can. Better than you can." I mean, what? Yeah. So pitched instruments, we have a lot of those. The barred instruments. What's an example of a barred instrument?
Xylophone.
Xylophone. Yeah. So much fun. Did you have like the little ones that like were on the floor in your elementary school music?
Yeah.
Those are Orff instruments. So they're the smaller ones, and you could take the bars off of the instrument, and it helps children. Like if you're trying to teach them like specific notes, it helps them learn the notes. So sometimes I would always see my teacher would take off the notes, and I was like, why is the F sharp missing? And it was because she took it off, and I didn't know that was why until recently. So, like, when we were in elementary school, there was this activity where she would lay out all of the Orff barred instruments across the ground, and then she would lay out a few pitched percussion, like the jingle bells and stuff like that, and she would give us a sheet of music. It was relatively very easy music, and we would play the instruments, and it was just a lot of fun, and she would, give us a few days to learn it too, because you have to give the students a few days to be able to learn like how the melody is supposed to sound and stuff. But then we got it, and it was cool. We used to do like rounds and stuff too. She would add a lot of fun stuff to it. Have any of you had fun experiences with the Orff barred instruments?
Actually, yes, I have. Usually like around Christmas times, like our elementary school would get together and do like little like improvisational like barred instrument things. And so we would just like loop a certain like little motive or something, and then we'd like layer them, and it'd be really fun for little kids.
Wow, yeah, that's a lot of fun. Kids have a lot of fun with the instruments that they give out in the elementary school music. Now this next instrument, we all know, the recorder. We've all played it. We're all musicians. We've all used it before. Now, we're given the soprano recorder because that is best for the beginners. So I know that you work in the music therapy instrument room. You have like the alto recorder you have in there, like the tenor recorder. Those are so cool. Like I didn't know people were like professional recorder players. I know Kevin was playing some songs on the tenor recorder, or was it the alto you were using that one day?
I think I had the tenor recorder. I think recorders are a really cool instrument. I also had that same discovery that they play it professionally when I found out, just like looked on the internet and found this child prodigy named Lucy Horsch. She makes some great stuff with even just the recorder.
Wow.
I highly recommend checking that out.
How old is she?
She's about like, I think 24 now.
Oh wow.
But there's recordings of her from like 2003 where she's like playing with like a children's professional orchestra where it's one of them is Hungarian dances.
Oh really?
And she like it increases tempo into like going into like the 160 BPM area. It's insane. Yeah.
That is crazy. She was a child?
Yeah, and she blends really well with the orchestra.
Wow.
It sounds like even more smooth than a flute.
I feel like that's so hard to do on the recorder.
Yeah.
Wow. So now getting into the harmony instruments. Does anyone name me a harmony instrument?
Guitar.
Guitar, yeah. Now the guitar is actually probably one of the most exciting instruments for the children. They love it's in so many popular styles of music that they listen to that it just makes them like happy when they hear it. It's definitely it's not an easy instrument, I would say.
I feel like a more commonly taught instrument for kids is more ukulele,
Yeah.
and then they progress to guitar as they get older. I think that for a harmony instrument, definitely start in ukulele, and
Yeah.
they would go to a more complex stringed instrument.
So actually, because of COVID, I think actually, they used to teach recorder for the 3rd grade classes in my old school district, but now they teach ukulele, I guess, because
Same
like of
in
the
my school
aerosols
district.
from the COVID, so now they teach them ukulele. And I wish that, like, I don't know, would you prefer to teach ukulele if you had a classroom for yourself in the future? Would you teach ukulele or recorder? Like, what do you think would be
Ukulele.
better?
I would teach
Yeah.
ukulele.
Yeah.
I
It's
think
more
so, too.
versatile. You can use it to play so many things. I use it every day
Yeah.
for what
Yeah.
I do. I play 95% of the songs that I play on ukulele.
I think ukulele is probably you probably have more opportunities to play ukulele than you do recorder.
Oh,
So
definitely.
I feel like it's so
Definitely.
much better for the students to learn in the classroom, and I would love to teach it.
Also, you can sing along when you play ukulele.
Yeah.
It helps people connect like the melody within themselves and their harmonic balance below it at the same time.
Yeah.
I kind of wish that I had that I learned ukulele instead of recorder as one of the little students in my elementary school. I feel like I would have done a lot more with that.
Yeah. Definitely, and I feel like you just would have had more musical knowledge, like of chords and stuff. Like the teacher obviously wouldn't describe it that way, but then like when you would like look at it in the future, you'd be like, wow, like these were like the chords that we learned when we were learning ukulele in elementary school. I agree. I definitely think that would be a better instrument to teach.
However, it is a lot more difficult to navigate because recorder you're paying attention to one note at a time, which is why I think they chose that instead
Yeah.
of ukulele.
No, yeah.
The nice thing with ukulele is a lot of the fingerings are like one finger.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
finger or 2 fingers, and it's super small. Those, like the
That's
frets
what's
are
good for
close
children
together.
because of how small it is.
Yeah.
And also, I think ukulele also has that option. You can play one note on it and like just start there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I definitely think kids would start on like a soprano uke, obviously. Just
Right.
like the recorder.
Now that I think of it, I think it should be like an option,
Yeah.
like recorder ukulele. Or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
I think it also depends on the funding of a school
Right.
Yeah. I
and
feel
if
like
they have
recorders are
enough
cheaper.
teachers to.
Yeah, recorders are super cheap compared to ukuleles.
Yeah.
They provided the recorders too back then. I don't think they provided the recorders like. So yeah, I definitely think ukuleles would probably be better to teach than recorders. One last thing I wanted to talk about is assessing the children in the classroom playing the instruments. So there's 2 types of assessing. So there's formative evaluation, where the teacher can see the students' progress throughout the year and lets them know what they could do differently. Like in our lessons, like our teachers formatively evaluate us and tell us like what we can do differently.
Mhm.
And there's summative evaluation, which is just an overall to just show them how they progressed throughout the year, and they're also given all their stuff at the beginning of the year, and they're evaluated at the end of the year. Do you think it's when teaching students these instruments in the classroom, it's more important to evaluate them on a regular basis, or just have them look at how much they've improved from the evaluation at the end of the semester, like at the end of the year?
I believe formatively,
Yeah,
because if you wait until the end of the semester and it gets too late,
yeah,
there's no like helping at
Yeah.
that point. It's like it's too far gone. But you like you work week to week, you can see a weak point and help them work on it faster.
yeah.
Well, are you talking about like when a student is coming for lessons often, or if they're like?
Well, like just in the classroom. So like let's say you have lessons, like you're doing a summative evaluation, you're still teaching them what to do and you're still helping them, but you're not giving them as much feedback with the summative evaluations as you would be with the formative.
Okay.
So like they'll get feedback every week from you, but if like they're obviously doing something wrong and you're doing summative, you're going to help them out with what's wrong, but it's not going to be like entire classroom feedback. It's going to be like formative is like for the entire class, and summative is for the entire class to just see how far they've come.
That makes sense. I think formative, it can be a lot if they do it very often, because then the students can be like, oh, I always feel like I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, if the teacher's giving them good feedback as well and not just negative feedback, it also depends on, I guess, what the teacher is giving.
I feel like something at that early stage, like when at that age, I feel like the music classroom is meant to bring kids into music, and I feel like something with like positive reinforcement,
validation,
just like constant validation would be super helpful, and not so much constructive, because they're like that they're not at that age where it's just like, okay, so here's how I can like break down these things to help you get better. They're not ready for that yet.
Yeah.
That's something that should be covered in like high school. Or their private lessons that they do outside of school.
Yeah.
And it also depends on, I guess, the level of the student as well.
Yeah,
like
everyone has a different skill level.
If they're first beginning the instrument,
Yeah.
you're not going to be like, oh, you need to know all your scales or whatever.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so I guess it really just depends on the age.
Yeah.
That's something that like I'm not a music ed major, but I do teach kids music a lot. I am part of a cultural center in West Hempstead, and we prepare these performances, these like Chinese New Year lion dance performances, and I help run like the percussion classes.
Okay.
And these what I do is just constant positive reinforcement, because it's a children's group.
Yeah.
So these are kids ranging from 5 to 15. So my goal with that is to just like recruit them and just
Make them feel welcome.
and make them feel welcome in the world of music. And
Yeah.
a lot of them like go on being percussion majors in a college. Like one of them just started in Hofstra as an applied percussion major. It's really cool to watch them grow.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think that's probably one of the best parts of being a teacher, is watching your students musically grow.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that will make me happy, to see them be happy for music and see that what I've taught them, or what anyone's really taught them, had a positive impact on their lives. And I think that's super important. Well, that is enough time for today. We've covered everything for Chapter 8. Next week is Chapter 9. Thank you all for helping me out with this podcast today, and I'll see you all next week. Hello, everyone!